Hey everybody, my name is Joshua Pickett, and this is my lovely wife, Laura Pickett.
Hi.
And today we're sitting down with Laura to just give her a space to share about herself. And Laura is an artist. She's a musician, a writer, a mom, a wife, a daughter, a friend. She's a leader in our church community, and she's incredibly creative. And so this web page is dedicated to people that are learning how to live their life from a relationship with the Creator and how that causes them to be creative, and how everything that they do is a way or an expression of the image of God being a creator embedded into their life. And so we just want to take a few minutes and give Laura some space to talk about that. And so the things, to start things off, Laura, why don't you just tell us, if you could try to answer, like, who is Laura Pickett? How would you try to answer that? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
If I had to answer that, I would say the big identifiers, of course, are a child of God. I am a wife and a mother. I am someone who enjoys traveling, and I really love singing,
Mm-hmm.
playing the keyboard.
Yeah.
I love decorating my house.
Yes.
I love cooking
Okay.
and loving on people.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And so I have a cheat sheet here of questions that I've prepared for you. And so I'm going to look on my phone and look at the next one. Yeah. So Laura, when you think about God being a creator and God making humans into God's image, what does that mean for you as a thriving creator?
For me, what it means is that I can look like him, I can imitate him in a way where there once was nothing, and then God said, let there be something, and it came into being. And so it expresses itself through me in songs, and books. I like to write books, and well, in a lot of different ways, really, that aren't typically creative. Like
Yeah.
even in cooking, I like to experiment with different mixtures of things that a lot of people don't think of,
Sure.
and even with my pets, like to I love to breed my fish, which is maybe a little unusual, but it's so fun just to watch them. There's just two fish in there, and then now we got a whole little hatch of them, and just to
Sure.
watch them raise up and everything is fun.
Sure. Sure. So it sounds like what you're saying, just to reflect a little bit to make sure I'm understanding you, is um, the way that you're understanding as God being a creator and Him, His image being embedded into your very nature. The way that that comes out is because God created some things out of seemingly nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing the same thing, maybe with a song in your heart that is not on the earth yet, that no one has heard, but it's in your heart. And so you sit down at your piano and you try to work it out with actual musical notes and add lyrics to it and so on and so forth. And same thing with your writing or anything that you actually put your hands to. Does that sound?
Yep.
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing that. So, let's see. How has your relationship with Jesus actually fueled your creativity?
Well, it has everything to do with it, really.
Yeah.
So in the songs I write, I only really write songs about him anymore because, only for the fact that when I sit down to play, and then all of a sudden I'll hear a melody or something like that, my thoughts are already on him, and so it just naturally flows into a song about him or about some aspect of my relationship with him. A struggle that he's helping me through, or just anything like that. A joy that he's helped me overcome. And then the books that I've written are all about. I like to call them, which I know this is kind of. I like to call them little books of wisdom, which I'm not talking about my wisdom. It's God's wisdom, but it's God's wisdom that was like shown to me first and helped me in some way.
Sure.
And then I've just turned around and shared that so that other people can benefit from that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That's good. So if we go a little further with the dynamic of what I'm hearing you saying is the things that are coming out of you are a direct byproduct of you spending time with Jesus, getting to know Jesus, getting to get a feel for who he is and what he loves and what he does not love, and what he's for, and as that sinks into your being, and as that begins to shape who you are, like you begin to create out of that place.
Absolutely.
Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. And I think really the idea, that idea of God, having a relationship with God through Jesus Christ, and how that really does shape us and transform us and mold us into being more human. Part of that is that now in God's creative thrust, that thing begins to be alive in me. And that is really a big part of what this website/blog is going to be about. And many of the people that we will feature, or some of the writers that will be on here, may not actually be writing about God or theology or thoughts about God, but they just would be creating anything. And the central theme is that their life is an expression of the Creator God and their relationship with him, and how that intertwines. And then as humans, how do we take that good and holy gift from God, his image, and intersect that into society and in around other people, and how do we live that life out, that good and beautiful life that he promises us. And so Laura, what I want to do now is, why don't we I want to give you space for you to share about maybe some of your actual projects. It could be some that you've done years ago, because I know you've been doing stuff like this for a while. It could be something that you're currently doing. And like I said before, you are a wife, a mom, an author, a musician. You lead a women's recovery group. Am I missing anything?
I'm a student.
You are a student.
Which I just graduated, but technically I'm still finishing 2 classes, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I would characterize you as a lifelong student. Yes, you are graduating in 2020 from Regent University with a bachelor's degree, and I'm so proud of you for that. That's so awesome. And but your life has very much been, as I've witnessed you, someone that wants to learn. Someone that says, I don't know everything, and I want to sit in a posture of a learner, and as an apprentice, and as a student. And so, what's one of, like I said, I just want to give you a moment to share about some of your projects. Is there one or two you'd like to talk about in particular, or?
Yeah, so there's 2, I think, that I would like to share about. So a couple of my books, like I said, they are things that I've been through that I want to pass on, because I learned some very valuable things going through the experience, and then going through it hanging on to God with all of my heart, basically.
Sure.
And so I went through a time where I was connected deeply with someone who was addicted. And it was a very difficult situation for me, and I leaned on God like I'd never leaned on him before, and I learned all kinds of stuff. And that's what the book, The Other Victim, it's one of the ones you'll see underneath it there. And I call it that because, first of all, because we don't have to remain victims, and that's one of the things the whole book is about, is how not to remain a victim. But I see two victims in any story of addiction, because, you know, the family is affected just every bit as much as the person who has the problem of alcohol or any kind of addiction. Everybody that's connected with an addict of any kind is affected. And this book is more for the people that are connected to the addict, because they have their own set of issues and struggles and a lot of similarities in the things that they go through.
Yeah. I remember when that book came out, and a lot of what fueled that is my struggles with addiction and your desire to.
I wasn't going to say anything.
That's okay. I'm okay with the fact that I've made a lot of mistakes. Your desire to hold on to what you thought was good, and how I remember you telling me about how you really felt our community, our friends, our relatives, our different spiritual leaders in our life really came around me to rescue, to help me get back on track, to work on Josh, because he had wrecked his life, and this was a good while ago, and it was hard. But what you were saying in that experience is, though they cared for you, you felt cared for. Most of the energy that they gave towards it was focused on me, and very little was focused on your effect and your emotional bankruptcy and your feeling of all the shame and guilt and trauma and just the loss and all that wasn't actually extended to you as much. And so this book is about that journey for you, but also you reaching out to the other victim. That's the title of the book. To say, here's a help for you.
Yes, exactly.
And what an incredible, we both have read a lot of stuff around addiction and trying just to learn the dynamics of that. And there is not a whole lot of work done, at least that I'm aware of, that's focused solely on the family or the wife or the spouse, even the husband or children. And of course there is some on it, but I don't know how, at least in our circles, how aware we were of some of that. And so I think it's a powerful little book. It's not very big, but it's well written, and you self-published that. Is that correct? And when it first came out, you were able to sell some of those books. And also on her page, on this page where this video is, if you scroll down, won't there be a link to where if someone wanted to purchase that book or check that book out further, that you'll provide a link for us to attach to this video?
Yep.
Fantastic. And so tell us about the other book around, I think it's 2 Corinthians in the first chapter, about comfort and the comfort that you received. Tell us a little bit about that book and that journey.
So that was the very first book that I wrote, and what happened with that one was I went through an incredibly painful, I would say like 8 years. I mean, it was a long, painful time. Mainly, I think that it was so long because I didn't really know how to. I just had no grid for knowing how to end this pain, and I knew that Jesus was the answer, but I didn't know, Jesus would do this, he would do this, he would do this to stop hurting, basically. And that's where this whole idea of this first book came about, was that one day, it was literally just like some kind of cosmic light came on or something, and I felt like I was being fed the answers as to how I walk out of this problem as I was writing it down, I literally felt like Jesus said, you know, here's the way out. Just start writing it down. And so at first I kind of felt like he was showing me, this is the problem and this is what it looks like. And then he just started laying out thing by thing. And as I was writing this down, I was becoming more and more healed as I was following these steps for myself. And then I've been able to speak in different places about this since then. And, you know, I feel like I've been able to help some other people walk out of their pain as well. And so that's where that whole book started.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I remember you writing that book, and I do remember that season of your life, and how as that book was coming out, I began to see you get healthier, although some of the circumstances hadn't changed. But what God was doing is teaching you what you can do, and empowering you to own your part in that, and to also differentiate between what someone is doing versus what God is doing, and how God was speaking life where maybe some other people were not as life-giving to you, and how that book really did. It was a noticeable transformation in your life as you wrote that book, and even after that book, and then seeing you get opportunities to share with other people about some of the steps that God taught you in that, and how incredibly biblical it was. Even though like you weren't trying to scold through the Bible to figure it out, God laid these things on your heart, and then in reflection, we were able to see biblical principles all the way through it. And so, yeah, that's awesome. And I just want to encourage you, if you are curious about maybe purchasing any of these books or connecting with Laura as an author or as a friend in any way, scroll down. There'll be links to do that and a way to engage. And we appreciate you watching this video. Laura, we really appreciate you being on here. And I'm so excited to be able to launch this page with you being the first featured artist. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Bye.